Hello everybody, I'm Bottles and welcome to my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch event just happened. I literally just stopped watching it. It just ended at the time that I'm recording this. And I wanted to make a video about the Nintendo Switch because I really feel like we don't really do anything to try and keep relevant. So it's like I kind of want to talk about something that's kind of like new and popular, because it's something we don't usually do. So try something different. New year, new us, So the beginning of the conference, they're talking about the Nintendo Switch itself, and I have a couple of thoughts about it that I'd like to share. So first off, they showed the release date and the price. So the release date is March 3rd of 2017, which I gotta say, goddamn Nintendo, you are not giving me enough time to raise money to get this, except they are, because shockingly enough, at least to me, the starting price of the Nintendo Switch is $300, which seems incredibly cheap for what you're getting. I don't know, to me it sounds incredibly cheap. I think when the PS4 first came out, it was like $400 or $500 when it first came out. Same with the Xbone. But the one thing I gotta appreciate about Nintendo is that Nintendo is really, really good at keeping their systems cheap. That's the one thing I really like about them, and hopefully the price doesn't reflect the quality. you know what I'm saying? But so a couple other notes that I kind of jotted down. They talked about the online service and how it's a paid service. But I think they said it was only with smart devices. So hopefully it's not with online play, like a sort of like PlayStation Plus with the PlayStation 4 or Xbox Live with the Xbone. Because the one thing I really liked about Nintendo's online service is that it was free. Especially since a lot of times this is the only way that you can play multiplayer with these games is online. And to even access online, you have to pay a monthly sort of thing. And I found that was kind of dumb. I mean, I guess it's just because I'm cheap and I don't like spending money, but I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, so they were showing off the Switch and the what are they called? The Joy-Cons. The Joy-Con controller. And, and they showed off that you can, you snap the thing off and then just one side works as its own controller, which is a cool idea, and I really, really like this idea. But the problem is, as much as they were saying, it fits nice in your hand and it feels all natural, I don't know, it just kind of looked to me like the controller was a little too small. I don't know, maybe I just have big hands, probably not, but it just kind of seemed like it was way too small, and even when he was holding the controller, it seemed like the buttons were over a little bit, like the A, B, X, Y buttons. It kind of seemed like they were over too much, maybe it would have been better if they were a bit lower on the controller, just a tad. But I don't know, it's just a little nitpick. The hardware seems solid. They started showing off motion controls. And at first when they said that they were putting motion controls in the Switch at the conference, I was like, I much would have preferred if you just kind of went with the traditional game system style, kind of like a PlayStation or an Xbox. But they kind of described it, the way they described it is that it can recognize what's in front of it. It said, for example, that if you do rock, paper, scissors, it knows if you're doing paper, scissors, or rock. And I feel like that can really lead to a lot of interesting gameplay styles if it's able to recognize a shape of what's in front of the motion sensor. I feel like that can lead to a lot of cool possibilities, and I'd love to see what game developers would be able to do with that. And they said it was on like a distance basis instead of like a motion sensor bar like the Wii and the Wii U had. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they could do with the motion controls. And the one thing that seems really cool that they implement into the Nintendo Switch, and they seemed really, really confident about when they were describing it, is the HD Rumble. And basically what the HD Rumble is that, like, they gave an example of a glass of water, or a glass with ice cubes in it. And they said, if you shake it around and there's one ice cube in it, you can feel that ice cube shaking around in the cup, just with the controller. And they said you could also feel if you put in another ice cube, or a third ice cube, or if we filled it with water. And I feel like this can create such an amazing immersion effect within the game, because the Rumble Pack already started that trend of making you feel like you were in the game. Like, oh, an explosion happens in the game, and you feel the vibrations of the explosion in your controller. And that's a cool concept that's been around since the Nintendo 64. But now, they added almost like it seems like a dynamic rumble. And I feel like that can really help with the immersion of the game, because a vibration is a vibration. But if you feel something in your hands, I feel like that'll really help. And I'd love to see what they would do with that. Like, I really, really look forward to seeing the possibilities of what game developers can do with the Switch. And I hope that these possibilities are further explored, because if there's one thing that, Nintendo doesn't really think of when they make like a piece of hardware like this, starting with the Wii, they don't realize that third-party companies really aren't as familiar with the hardware as they are. For example, like with the Wii U, like you notice a lot of games for the Wii U, especially third-party games, don't really utilize the Wii U gamepad to its full potential, unlike if you were to play a Nintendo game, like Super Mario 3D World, or Star Fox Zero, or Nintendo Land, or Mario Kart. I mean, not even Mario Kart really used the gamepad, but a Splatoon used it. You know, games like those, you gotta really think, what are the third-party companies willing to do? But I feel like with the Nintendo Switch, it's enough of a regular game console that even if they don't utilize these things, it wouldn't really affect the gameplay. It's more of just affecting the aesthetic, which I feel like is a really good balance. So I'm going to move on from talking about the system, and I'm going to move on to talking about the games, the most important part of a game system. So I'm going to choose to start with the games that they really didn't show much of, and then I'm going to move into games that they showed like full trailers of. So first off, I'm going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I'll admit I never really played the first Xenoblade Chronicles game, because it kind of just seemed like your generic RPG, but it did look really good. I will give it that. I watched Pablo play it a couple times at his house, and it seemed interesting enough, but I don't know, nothing really about it drew me in, and the sequel really didn't do anything different to me. Like, it just seems cool, I guess, that it's like fully voice acted. I don't know if the first one was, but it just kind of seems like your typical JRPG. But I do have to admit, just like the first game, it looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. But yeah, that's all I really got to say about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They really didn't show that much, at least that I can, pick things out of. Like, they showed some cutscenes, they showed a little bit of gameplay, but they didn't really show much, in my opinion. And then they showed like a quick like 5-second little movie thing of Fire Emblem Warriors, which I'm a little disappointed that they didn't show much, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it's probably really early in development. But the only thing I really got to say about Fire Emblem Warriors is that I think it's really, really cool that we're finally getting a Fire Emblem game on a console instead of a handheld. So I'm definitely going to be picking that up because I love the Fire Emblem series. You know, as little as I've played of the series, like I've played the Game Boy Advance one, and I've played a little bit of which one was it? Fates? Or no, it was the one before. Awakening. I played a little bit of Awakening, and you know, I enjoy you know, the way it was, and I've watched my friends play Fire Emblem Fates, both versions, and they seem to have a lot of fun with those games. So I can't wait to pick up Fire Emblem Warriors. They mentioned that they were making a Dragon Quest 10 and 11, and also Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 they're releasing on the Switch. I don't really play the Dragon Quest games, so I really don't have an opinion, or I really don't feel that much hype just being told that, hey, it's coming out, because they didn't even show any like trailer whatsoever. They just said, hey, this is a thing. So they showed a small trailer for a new Shin Megami Tensei game. Now, I'm not really that well versed in Shin Megami Tensei, so even answer this question in the comments below. Was this just a Shin Megami Tensei game, or was this Persona 5? Because I know Persona 5 is coming out soon, and I'm really stupid when it comes to games in the Shin Megami Tensei series, because I'm not really well versed in it. Even though I've been really meaning into playing Persona 4, and I know that Persona and Shin Megami Tensei go hand in hand, so I don't know. Inform me if it's just Shin Megami Tensei. The only thing I really gotta say is that the monster designs that they showed were really interesting. So after that, they showed a trailer for it kind of looked like a 2.5D RPG called Octopath Traveller, or Project Octopath Traveller. You know, they didn't really show much of that either. They just showed some stuff of them walking around, or maybe like some cutscene pictures, you know, like little drawings. And all I gotta say is that the aesthetic looked really cool. Like watching the character walk through the town, and it's kind of like 2D sprites, but on a 3D space at a slightly skew angle. It just looked really cool. And even just looking at the aesthetic alone just really made me want to at least like try it, you know? So that's enough about Project Octopath Traveller. They showed off Skyrim again, the Skyrim remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've already played Skyrim, you know, I have it on the PlayStation 3, and when I first heard about that they were going to do like a HD or a Legendary or whatever the fuck edition they call it, I was a little bit like, really? Like, why Skyrim? Like, why not just make Elder Scrolls 6? But, you know, seeing this graphical overhaul, it really does make the game look good, and it actually amazed me of how much better the game could look. But, you know, I already have my opinions about Skyrim, and just to put it in short, I might go into it later in another thoughts on if this catches on, I guess. Skyrim is the type of game to me that you play for 2 hours, like literally like you do nothing but play Skyrim for like 2 to like maybe 6 hours, and then like after you get a couple quests done, you're just kind of like, all right, I'm done for like another week. I don't know. I know a lot of people were addicted to the game, but I personally wasn't. But I've never been able to get into those kind of Bethesda games like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, but that's just me. I mean, I like Skyrim, but, you know, it's very hard for me to get into it once I've stopped. So one of the most hype things, and I wish they showed more of this, was they had Suda51 of Grasshopper come out, and he announced that they're making a new No More Heroes game. And I need to say that, like, for the record, No More Heroes is one of my favorite series ever. No More Heroes was my favorite video game for a while before Brutal Legend came around. No More Heroes is one of the most fun hack and slash games I've ever played. And ever since they came out with No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle, I've been craving a sequel. They didn't release a title or really anything about the game yet. They didn't even show a trailer, they just showed a picture of Travis Touchdown with a shirt that said Travis is back. But I'm hoping that it's an official sequel, No More Heroes 3. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have planned for Travis Touchdown, because I love that character. And you fucking know that there's going to be a Let's Play of that whenever the fuck that comes out. So, next up, they had EA come out and they talked about FIFA, which I don't really care about sports games, so for you sports games fanatics, they're making a FIFA game. They didn't really show much. I mean, I think they showed a little bit of footage when they were having a little montage towards the end of the presentation. But, you know, it just looked like your typical soccer game to me. I don't know, maybe you sports games fans saw something that I didn't, but I don't know. So there's a new FIFA game. One of the things that I was a little disappointed about, you know, they had all these representatives of companies come out and talk about, you know, their involvement with making Switch games, and you know how happy they are to work with Nintendo, and all of them, to some degree, talked about what games they were making for the system, and even maybe show like a little teaser trailer of what they were making for the Switch. But one company in particular didn't show a thing, and I was actually a little disappointed that they didn't. The first third-party company that they had speak was Sega. And, you know, with Sega talking, I was really highly anticipating they would show something at least with Project Sonic 17, but they barely mentioned it. I mean, it was shown in the ending montage, but, you know, everything that they showed in that ending montage was stuff that we've already seen from the last E3. So I was a little disappointed that they didn't do any sort of coverage with Project Sonic 17. I was hoping for maybe like a little bit more information about it, but beggars can't be choosers, I guess. But whatever. So you know, some little things that I noticed when they were doing that ending montage. These are also some games that kind of like piqued my interest. They showed Street Fighter, like a 2D Street Fighter game. I don't know if they're just going to remake an old one, or if they're showing that they're going to have like a virtual console. They also showed a Bomberman game, which looked really cool. They showed the Mario Kart game that they've been teasing, whether it be Mario Kart 9 or just Mario Kart 8 Special Edition or whatever. They showed some clips from Sonic 17, but like I said before, it's nothing we haven't seen before. And so I'm going to move on to games that they really, really showed off. So starting off, they showed 1-2 Switch, which is... It kind of seems like the Nintendo Switch's version of Nintendo Land, or like how Nintendo Land was to the Wii U, and Wii Sports was to the Wii. That's what 1-2 Switch kind of seems like with the Nintendo Switch. It's kind of meant to show like what the Switch can do, what it's capable of, and kind of get you excited for titles to come. This is the launch title. This is one of the launch titles for the Nintendo Switch. They emphasize that it's based off of... It's kind of like a player-based gameplay, which I found pretty awesome. Like, you know, the one thing they boasted was that, oh, you don't need to look at the screen to play this game. So how do you play this game? You look at your friend. And I find that is really cool because, you know, they're marketing this as like a big party game. Like they even like I got that vibe when they were showing the trailer, and they even kind of like confirmed it when they were talking about the game. That this was like supposed to be like the party game for the Nintendo Switch. And from what they showed, it does seem like a pretty fun party game that, you could like have a really good time with like a bunch of your friends, if you have friends, unlike me. But but yeah, that's all I really got to say about 1-2 Switch. Then they showed ARMS, which is another launch title. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's not a launch title. They said that that's coming out in spring of 2017. And this one is a competitive fighting game where the characters, they only show 2 characters, one named Springman, which gives me Mega Man 7 vibes, or Mega Man 7 or 8, either one. I think it's Mega Man 8. Mega Man 8 vibes, and Ribbon Girl. And basically, it's a fighting game where these people have like really stretchy arms, and you use the Switch motion controls to kind of like control their arms and like how they move and if they block. And it seems like an interesting control scheme and an interesting way of playing a fighting game. Watching the gameplay, it's in like an arena style. It's an arena style fighting game. Like you can move around the arena and dodge the attacks and move really fast and stuff like that. I was getting a lot of Pokken vibes, like just kind of like the aesthetic reminded me of Pokken. It seems like a really fun competitive fighting game. Like it seems like it could be really fun with the right people. They said that they're gonna have a system where the higher, or like the more you play the game, you learn like higher level moves, I guess, which have like different movements with the joy. What are they called? Fuck, I keep forgetting. The Joy-Cons. The Joy-Con controller, like, I guess it's like different movements, which I think is a pretty cool idea. Like, the more you play the game, the more you learn, so obviously the more moves you would learn. So, I think that's really cool, but watching the gameplay more and more, and even watching when they showed the 2 people fighting each other, the gameplay looked a tad bit simple. And it kind of left me desiring a bit more of a complex system of like a fighting game, because like the fighting games that are really popular right now are the ones that the fans could like pick apart like literally frame by frame, and it's like a really complicated sort of fighting game, like a game like Street Fighter or Smash Brothers or Marvel vs. Capcom or what have you, or Skullgirls. It just kind of seems like it needs to be a bit more complex. I mean, I understand if it's simple because they're like, oh, we're trying to introduce the Switch to everybody. But I feel like by spring of 2017, a lot of people would be fairly introduced to the Switch, considering it'll probably be out for a while. Or like a couple months, maybe. I don't know. But the only thing that I was hoping, and that it's kind of like the key component of whether this game will be good or not, because this game seems to be motion control only, I really hope that the motion control is responsive. Not that I've ever had a problem with the Wii or Wii U's motion controls being garbage, but I know some people have. I personally have not, but I really hope that these controls are responsive, because if they're not, that can really hurt the Nintendo Switch, especially since this is one of the games that they first announced, so obviously people might be expecting this to be sort of a first impression sort of thing. So it's either I hope that the motion controls are responsive, or I hope that, the motion controls are optional altogether, because I like games with varying play styles. So moving on from ARMS, they announced Splatoon 2, which I feel so hyped for. It looks just like the first game, except even better. There's new maps. The new maps look even more expansive. than the last ones. They look bigger. They look like you can explore them a bit more. They showed off some new weapons, showing off the splat dualies, as well as special weapons. The special weapons seem like a really cool idea, because what they told us is that if you spray enough of the stage with your goop, then you kind of like power up these special weapons that are like, I guess, like area affecting, or even just have different effects altogether. And I feel like that's a really cool idea, adding special moves to Splatoon. I'm definitely picking this one up when it comes out. I love the versatile gaming styles, like you could play it on the TV, with the Joy-Cons attached to the tablet, with just the controller, the Pro Controller. Like, you can literally play this any way that you can, and I really love that idea. It's coming of summer of 2017, and hoo boy, am I hyped for those Splatfests that they teasing. And I hope Callie and Marie, however you want to say it, I really hope that they make a return, because if they don't, I'll be really disappointed, because I didn't see them in the trailer, and I'm going to be really disappointed if they decided to axe them off. So the next game that they showed is one that I think I am the most hyped for, and that was Super Mario Odyssey. This honestly looks like the biggest Mario game yet. It seems, they said it was a sandbox open world type of game, and the one thing that they said had me literally pissing myself in happiness, and that was, it's like Mario 64 and Sunshine. I know what they meant. I know they said it, that it was going to be like, because it's an open world explorative kind of thing, kind of like when you go into like Pinna Park or Bob-omb Battlefield and like Sunshine in 64, how you're able to just walk around the place and find your own adventure, I guess. But I'm really, really hoping that they're gonna go sort of like the Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy route, where like you have like it seems like this one is boasting about going to new worlds, or like unfamiliar worlds. So I'm really hoping that you go to these worlds, and once you go to these worlds, there's multiple missions to get like stars or whatever the fuck you have to collect in this game to get Princess Peach back from Bowser. I really, really hope that they do something like that, and if they do, I'll be so happy, because I've been craving a Mario game like Mario Galaxy or Mario Sunshine for a while now. And as much as I love Super Mario 3D World, another Super Mario Galaxy-esque game would be amazing right now. Some interesting things that I noticed was these purple triangles that Mario's collecting seems to be a substitute for coins, and I'm kind of wondering what those are. Like, what are those? Just the coins of like these alternate worlds, or like is it like a story item, or I don't know. I would love to know, because it seems to be a lot of them to collect, and I'm wondering if maybe it's like there'll be coins and these purple triangles, like in how Mario Galaxy you have the coins and the star bits. I want to know what's up with the purple triangles. Tell me what's up with the purple triangles. And another thing is, they hinted at what the story was, and the story seems to be that, again, Bowser kidnaps Peach, but now he's advertising a royal wedding, almost as if saying like he's forcing Peach to marry him. So that seems really interesting. And also, the hat mechanic seems so amazing. They showed how you can like throw it like a boomerang, and the coolest thing, which I think opens up so many possibilities for great level design in this Mario game, is that you can throw it, and then after that you can use it as a platform. That is so cool, and I want to see what they can do with this hat mechanic. And I also want to meet this hat character that they kind of teased at the end there with the Mario hat with the eyes. I want to see what he's all about. So that's coming of holiday of 2017, and hoo boy, do I want the end of the year to already come, because man, I want to play this Mario game so bad. So next up on the list is that's all the major games they really showed in the beginning. So the next thing they really talked about was what the Switch is going to come with. Like when you buy the full package, it says you're going to get the Switch itself, of course, the Joy-Cons, of course, or else how are you going to play? You're going to get wrist straps for your Joy-Cons. You're going to get the grip, which is what you can attach the Joy-Cons to if you want to play it like a regular controller for the TV mode. The dock, which is what you put the Switch in. The Switch is the actual tablet, so you put that in the dock so that you could go on the TV. The HDMI cable, the AC adapter, of course. And then if you want to get it separately, you can get the Pro Controller, which at first I was kind of like, man, I'm a little disappointed in that. But, it's just like the Wii U. You could just buy it separately. Hopefully it's not going to be like $30 for a Pro Controller. Hopefully it'll be at a reasonable price. They also mentioned that there's going to be a gray version of the Joy-Cons, as well as a neon red and neon blue version of the Joy-Cons. And the one thing that I'm happy about these two versions is that they're the same price. I remember things like, we have the white Wii, but we also have the black Wii, and the black Wii is more expensive because it's black. I don't fucking know. I remember there were times where like different color systems were different prices, so it's kind of refreshing to hear that these two versions of the console are going to be sold at the same price, and they're not going to try and pull like limited edition neon blue and neon green kind of thing. So after that they said all that, they showed representatives from Nintendo of Europe talking about, the event, saying like, oh, we're really excited to give you guys the Nintendo Switch. And they sent it to, and then they gave the stage to Nintendo of America, where it showed Reggie and Miyamoto and I'm sorry I can't remember his name. He's the lead producer of the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. And like in this point of the presentation, I was wondering like, the biggest thing that they were selling alongside the Nintendo Switch was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I was really curious as to why they didn't show anything from it. But then that was remedied because they started talking about it and they said, it seems like we kind of skipped over Zelda, like what happens? And someone's playing in the background and Reggie just like, oh, why don't we ask himself, Mr. Miyamoto? And then he turns around and he's like, oh, this game is so much fun. And I'm like, I didn't even recognize that as Miyamoto. And if there's one thing that I love about Nintendo, it's Miyamoto. Just Miyamoto himself. He just seems like such a joyful guy. And I would love to have a conversation with him one day. I really would. Whether it be about game design or Mario or Zelda or game philosophy, Pikmin, what the hell ever. I just want to have a just straight up conversation with this man about gaming. So after they did their little teasing, they showed off the new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. For one thing, it looks stunning. It sounds stunning. Oh my god, I can't believe how good this game looks and sounds. Like, the soundtrack sounds so amazing. This seems like the biggest Zelda game yet. It's even fully voice acted, which I forgot that they announced that they were fully voice acting this game. The landscapes that you get to traverse seem diverse and kind of like even treacherous. Like they showed Link just walking up this narrow bridge, and I was like, oh, I can't believe that the game is going to make me do that, and I hope that it shows me how precarious that bridge is. And it showed Epona. It showed side characters, which is something you really don't see in the Legend of Zelda franchise that much. Like, you have your side characters, like in Ocarina of Time, you had your Gorons and your Zoras and all them. But it seems like there's some side characters in this Zelda game that stick around with you for the whole adventure, which is something we never actually seen before. Usually it's just Link. Or even if you have someone stick around Link, it's only for like a dungeon or two. And then they kind of go off into their own little adventure. So it's really cool to see that there are side characters that stick with you for the whole adventure. And, there were some scenes in this trailer that seemed really emotional. And, with the the full voice acting, it really seemed to hit hard. And I really hope that whoever dubs this game for the English release does an absolutely good job. If they're even going to dub it at all. I mean, they might just, subtitle it. Who knows? but I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose of having fully voice-acted characters in a Zelda game. The art style was giving me kind of a Wind Waker vibe. Like, it kind of seemed like cel-shaded, but, like, not really, but, like, a little bit. And, you know, when they hit, it kind of like, it showed, like, the sparks, and it kind of reminded me when you hit something in Wind Waker, and it's like, bam, you know, and it's like sparks are going everywhere, and you're defeating the enemy. But goddamn, this Zelda game seems like it's gonna be kind of like a more cinematic than the other Zelda games have been before, and I just want to explore this open world, man. It just seems so good. And the biggest shock of the night, the absolute biggest shock of the night there was in this Nintendo Switch conference, is that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a launch title. I couldn't believe it. Like, you know, when they were kind of teasing, like, oh, when's it gonna come out? When's it gonna come out? When's it gonna come out? Like, towards the end, I was like, when is it gonna come out? And I'm like, I started getting the idea in my head, it's like, is it gonna be a launch title? No way, it can't be. It can't be a launch title. And then it showed March 3rd, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's a launch title. A Zelda game is a launch, like, an original Zelda game is a launch. I know it's not the first time this has happened, because I'm pretty sure Twilight Princess was a launch title, but it just seems so bizarre that this game was going to be one of the Nintendo Switch's launch titles alongside 1-2 Switch. And goddamn, does this make me want to get a Nintendo Switch day of release. Like, if that was their plan, it worked. Like, it honestly worked. So, I think I've talked about everything I can when it comes to the Nintendo Switch and this conference. I've already been speaking for about 37 minutes now, so I think I should kind of shut up at this point. So, thank you everybody for listening, and I hope you like this kind of like thoughts on series, like whenever like a new trailer or a presentation, whether it be E3 or Nintendo comes out, if one of us wants to sort of make a thoughts on video. I hope you would like to see more videos like this where we just get to sit back, relax, and talk about whatever's in gaming popular culture at the moment. So my name is Bottles, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.